I'm gonna rule this world one day. Y'all finna know the name. I'm spitting game to the people who decide our fate. I'll make a name in history, be one of the greats. I've got the traits that you need to get past the gates. Man, I don't wait, I exceed every single day. A different breed, yeah, I put it on display. Got all I need, and it's up inside my brain. I will succeed, cause I tell myself that every day. Y'all will concede and remember the name. Shout out to Fort Minor, cause it's 50% pain. But that 5% of pleasure's why I'm still in the game. And I exceed every measure by hard work, I'll explain. It's early mornings and late nights. It's fight and sleep, that's the hardest fight. But when you sleep, someone's passing by. You better try harder and fight smarter to go farther. Become your own monster, call a self-starter.
Take it slow, and we gon' make it out this hole. And ain't nobody stopping us, no. So watch me as I go, watch me as I grow. And we ain't gonna take it slow, and we gon' make it out this hole. And ain't nobody stopping us, no. So watch me as I go, watch me as I grow. Yeah, I'm the fucking show.
It's hard, I've been scarred from out fighting. Waking up, stomach is starved, I keep grinding. 6 a.m, life isn't hard, I keep reciting. It feels like I might fall apart, I keep trying. Sun's coming up and the glare is so blinding. I'm sick of hearing and seeing all of the people whining. You want something good, then you better go put the time in. You get what you pay for and time is money, we climbing. It's prime time, it's my time, I got it. I'll be just fine, my mind, you can't stop it. Give me a vine to climb and I'll top it. Grow yourself a spine, got mine, that's a promise. Take a deep breath and head towards the darkness. The light at the end wasn't put there by no novice. My hand I extend, so welcome to my office. No time to repent, we're building and not stopping.
And we gonna take it slow, and we gon' make it out this hole. And ain't nobody stopping us, no. So watch me as I go, watch me as I grow. And we ain't gonna take it slow, and we gon' make it out this hole. And ain't nobody stopping us, no. So watch me as I go, watch me as I grow. Yeah, I'm the fucking show.
I'm gonna rule this world one day. Y'all finna know the name. I'm spitting game to the people who decide our fate. I'll make a name in history, be one of the greats. I've got the traits that you need to get past the gates. Man, I don't wait, I exceed every single day. A different breed, yeah, I put it on display. Got all I need, and it's up inside my brain. I will succeed, cause I tell myself that every day. Y'all will concede and remember the name. Shout out to Fort Minor, cause it's 50% pain. But that 5% of pleasure's why I'm still in the game. And I exceed every measure by hard work, I'll explain. It's early mornings and late nights. It's fight and sleep, that's the hardest fight. But when you sleep, someone's passing by. You better try harder and fight smarter to go farther. Become your own monster, call a self-starter.
Take it slow, and we gon' make it out this hole. And ain't nobody stopping us, no. So watch me as I go, watch me as I grow. And we ain't gonna take it slow, and we gon' make it out this hole. nobody stopping us, no. So watch me as I go, watch me as I grow, yeah, I'm the fucking show.
It's hard, I've been scarred from out fighting. Waking up, stomach is starved, I keep grinding. 6 a.m, life isn't hard, I keep reciting. It feels like I might fall apart, I keep trying. Sun's coming up and the glare is so blinding. I'm sick of hearing and seeing all of the people whining. You want something good, then you better go put the time in. You get what you pay for and time is money, we climbing. It's prime time, it's my time, I got it. I'll be just fine, my mind, you can't stop it. Give me a vine to climb and I'll top it. Grow yourself a spine, got mine, that's a promise. Take a deep breath and head towards the darkness. The light at the end wasn't put there by no novice. My hand I extend, so welcome to my office. No time to repent, we're building and not stopping.
Gonna take it slow, and we gon' make it out this hole. And ain't nobody stopping us, no. So watch me as I go, watch me as I grow. And we ain't gonna take it slow, and we gon' make it out this hole. And ain't nobody stopping us, no. So watch me as I go, watch me as I grow, yeah, I'm the fucking show.
Alright, we're getting the mics up here. Oh, alright, I think we're broadcasting here. Vash, can you say something, sir?
Hello, everybody.
Alright, everybody. Right now, as you can see, we're at the Double Dargun news desk right here. So, as we can see, maybe I'll appear. Oh, and I actually appear here as well. So, there we go. We're utilizing the most modern of technologies here, everybody. So, as we know, this is the episode 1 of the Double Dargun podcast, Stuff and Things, because we were kicking around some topics and we weren't quite sure where we were going to go. So we'll just do a quick peruse through the chat right here. We see, oh, we have a Magic Bollocks. He still does exist. He reminds me of like a mythical creature that lives by the sea. I like Bollocks. We have Just Another Nerd, the artist formerly known as Voice. We have a Mr. Digital Pollution, Jez. Hey, how we doing, Jez? As well as Brent, and he brought the lone wolf cub with him as well. So hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us here today. And so Vash, you had a particular topic you were looking at discussing that I'm unenlightened on. Continue.
Oh, you mean aside from you buying Apple products?
I like Apple. Vash, we've been through this before. That's a point of personal preference.
Yeah, if you just, I would rather, spend my money on something that's more useful and then throw the rest of my money into like a tin can to burn if I was wanting to do that.
Well, I mean, you could cook beans with that. Beans that you could get with separate dollars as well. Oh, hello, Tiger Lily. How we doing?
And it would still be more useful than an Apple product.
It's shiny and it works with my other devices, my other highly priced Apple products that do stuff and things that technology has already existed for a while. But Apple does it, so you have to be right? Don't answer
No.
that. So EA, that's the lovely Luna giggling there in the background.
EA, the leather
Yes,
thing.
yes, Blizzard stuff and thing, and pay attention
So
over
which,
there. Yeah.
yeah, which one is worse, EA or Blizzard? And I'm honestly going with EA still holding the championship against Blizzard.
Well, Blizzard has they're getting a lot of kind of outrage and stuff on them right now. So, I mean, that whole China thing, the NBA, and the stones of the hearthing and stuff like that with the monies and the things and the suspensions. But EA, what did EA do?
Well, Mass Effect 3's original ending was so terrible that EA had to release a new one.
Oh, they, wait, they retconned the ending?
No. They released a new Mass Effect 2
Did
that had
they
better
charge
end.
for it?
Why not?
Oh, isn't that just a sequel?
No. It was Mass Effect 2,
Uh,
but they made it into DLC that you had to pay for a new ending.
uh, so it was the same game, just a different ending.
Yep.
What? Why wouldn't you just watch the new ending on YouTube?
Well, why? Just EA did that.
Oh,
Um, Also, Star Wars Battlefront 2 helped EA achieve the most downvoted comment in Reddit history.
hmm. What was that?
Well, let's take a look. Didn't matter how much the game was played and looked. You had to spend tons of money to unlock basic characters like Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader,
Oh,
which people were pretty pissed off at that.
well, no. I remember that they changed it though, right? And the change ended up kind of being similar or the same-ish. They just adjusted the prices.
Well, the features were free in past Battlefront games, yet in Battlefront 2, they locked them behind really heavy fees. And also, players had to spend countless hours playing in order to buy the loot boxes that only potentially contain the characters that they wanted, which normally they wouldn't. And people that weren't that patient would have to buy the loot boxes with real money, and it was pretty much just a pay to win. Um, let's see here. Uh, every EA Sports game is the same game,
Well, it's got updated rosters.
but literally the same game.
Well, yeah, well, baseball
Same
and stuff
exact
like that. I mean, it's the
programming,
same. It is the same game.
same programming all the way through.
Hmm. I mean, but if you're doing something well, then why would you change it?
EA was also voted in 2012 and 2013 the worst company in America, 2 years in a row.
Hmm. Well, I like the EA, dude. Like Triple Play 98 and stuff. That was pretty good.
Uh, EA also sold online passes to players who bought their games used.
Um, Wait, say that again.
EA sold online passes to players who bought their games used.
Was so it was a subscription service like World of Warcraft.
Um, well, let's see
What
here.
was it
The
after
codes
they
only
released the
work
game and could use it?
The codes only worked once, so players who were forced to buy unopened games if they wanted to play online. For people who got their games secondhand, the codes were made available for purchase, usually about $10 to $15.
Uh, oh, Wait. So it became like an arcade game? You just gotta keep putting quarters in?
Yeah. And if you lose your EA account, if you lose that password, you and email, then you have to rebuy everything.
Well, even if you have the credit card you purchased it with or whatever type of account. Because, I
Nope,
mean,
you gotta go ahead and make a new account,
oh.
rebuy everything.
So, what you're saying is they can't just simply cross reference the billing information. They'll happily take your money. But should you lose the key to what you purchased, they make you purchase a whole new car rather than cutting you a new key.
They give you a giant middle finger, yes.
Oh, well, I mean, is that better or worse than after some potential drama with Blizzard, them saying, well, we're not saying you can't cancel your account, but we're gonna need to see your ID. We're gonna need to see two forms of verification. Go through this window. Go through this window. We're just gonna add as many clicks and steps to taking away and canceling your account as possible because hashtag capitalism.
Yep. Oh, and you remember Mass Effect and Andromeda? It
Oh,
was
that
literally so broken that it killed the franchise entirely.
is that is that EA's fault or I mean ultimately would be their fault or I thought that was another game design studio or something they had purchased or something because should we judge all games and their designs by within the same kind of organization?
That was their baby.
I still remember I got Mass Effect the Dragon Blood armor in Dragon Age, the original one. And that stuff was all. See, dude, that was a great game because it's like they had DLC for it, and they priced it. I think like one was like $7, one was 12, and I think one was like 15 or 16. But you actually got new characters with it. You gained new content, and the content was fun.
All right, well, let's talk about Dead Space and that series.
Okay.
They killed off Dead Space, which was one of the greatest horror games. They proceeded to then say, "Oh, you guys like Star Wars? Yeah. You guys like Dead Space? Yeah. You guys want the people from Dead Space to create the new Star Wars game? Well, fuck the hell yes. Oh, never mind. We're shutting down Visceral Games.
What?
They completely shut down because Dead Space 3 did not sell 5 million copies.
According
So they
to
completely shut down.
well, according to Cthulhu, he's saying it was BioWare. Or oh, that was Dragon Age. My apologies. I'm
Yeah, BioWare was Dragon
or
Age.
didn't they do Mass Effect 2? Or was there something where they were changing the studios around, or somebody absorbed somebody? I honestly really haven't paid attention. I probably should.
EA has bought many different different entities and then killed them.
Well, to address Magic Bollocks in the chat, I mean, I have heard people say that there's something to more cushion for the pushing. I mean, that's all I know, man. This is what folks have told me. But continue, Vash.
All
Games.
right, here's you a small list of the once popular studios that EA has killed off. Westwood Studios, purchased in 1998, closed in 2003. Other mainly known for the Command and Conquer series. Origin Systems, purchased in 1992, closed in 2004. The Ultima series. Pandemic Studios, purchased in 2008, closed in 2009. The original Star Wars Battlefront series. DreamWorks Interactive, purchased in 1995, rebranded in 2013, which was the Medal of Honor franchise. Maxis Software, purchased in 1997, consolidated in 2015 the SimCity and Sims games. Bullfrog Productions, purchased in 1995, disbanded in 2001, and that was the Populous game.
I've heard of like some of those and stuff. I mean, again, like when I just go back to my early gaming days, I'm like, okay, who do we have? We had Capcom, we had EA, we had SquareSoft, and then you start to have these companies, and they just kind of started to go like, nom 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 nom. Now you're part of us, and now you're adding in different things. So yeah, you'll get new more resources. You might get some new titles and stuff, but it almost seems like at times when you start to overly corporatize things that it can, I don't know, you kind of almost lose like a flair of the originality or something. Something that made it special. Not always, but I don't know. Just kind of seems that way.
Oh, Mass Effect 3 forced players to participate in multiplayer to get the best ending.
Oh.
Not only did you have to get the DLC to buy the required resources with real money, you also had to play with multiplayer to get the actual ending.
Well, I don't like that, but to be fair, you usually, when grouping up, you always get the best stuff. Like big raid instances. That was the thing that people criticized
You have
for a
to
while.
buy the resources as well.
Well, using real money?
Yep.
Oh, that's concerning. I don't know. See that the pay for play, like pay to accelerate. Okay, I get it. It's you're adding an additional revenue source in. You can get it quicker. Fair enough. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. But it's like if it is a requirement, it is a prerequisite in order to get the best stuff. You got to give us cash, and then even to the iteration of, in order to get the best stuff, or excuse me, have an opportunity to maybe get the best stuff, you got to give us money.
And
that's I think
the
people's
whole
issue.
thing about the Visceral games again. Before Visceral was shut down for good, there was one last assignment, and that was a Star Wars action and adventure game. This is the people that created Dead Space, which is known as arguably one of the best horror games in gaming history.
Very good things.
Well, you can look at my live stream about it. I played it on the hardest difficulty in Dead Space 1. Very great game. Really intense. Actually gave me quite a few jump scares. Visceral seemed to be the people to actually pull it off, but EA was never really committed to the project, and the studio wasn't given any time or resources to carry out a full sandbox like single player type of game. And to make matters worse, it came alongside EA's wanting to move away from linear and story driven games, and since they believe that rarely turned a profit, so they decided to make a bunch of games that were pumped full of microtransactions, and this wasn't the type of game that Visceral was working on, which then EA was like, you know what, shut the whole thing down.
See, my thing here is, well, speaking about turning a profit, I just need to address something that that Bulks has also said in the chat, going upon something that we had discussed pre-stream, in that what your thoughts about potentially doing a meme review of form on Pornhub? Because there are certain folks that remember, like some of the firearms channels and stuff, when YouTube was getting very strict on that, where if you were searching for certain anime, you you couldn't because it has a certain 3-letter word in it. And some of them kind of went over to Pornhub because with Pornhub, it's like, yeah, you can pretty much talk about pretty much whatever you really want as far as generalized topics, and you can show like nudity and stuff because that's part of the community and stuff. So you could kind of do like some different pornographic reviews or silly things and stuff that's out there because I mean, let's face it, there is silliness within many communities because we're human beings and like humor's a thing because otherwise we'd all go mad.
Yeah. But yeah, so with all of that, should we go over to Blizzard?
Oh, sure. I don't need to put on a Bane mask to get more. Well, it probably would get more attention, but then it gets muffled and it's a little warm. But well, I suppose I could open the window. But these things happen. Continue, Blizzard.
Yeah, let's see here.
I was gonna say I think we might actually even have the technology to maybe do something with this. Wait a second. Do I has the technology? I I might has the technology. I don't know if I have the technology. Let's see. Oh, hold on. If we choose another window, magically, I think. Do this. By the power of Chrome, do something. Yay! Oh, hold on. Yeah. Do you believe in magic? I think. I think we can. I think we can. I think we can. All right. If you happen to have any relevant links, we can put on the TV because everybody likes TV.
Oh, I mean, I got a Reddit link, Business Insider. Let's see.
So Blizzard. So basically, what ended up happening is there was a gentleman. He won the Hearthstone tournament. He wins the Hearthstone tournament, and while they're doing the little broadcast there, apparently he says, "Was it like free Hong Kong or something?" Because I believe he was happened to be a Hong Konger. He happened to be from HK over there. So while he's over there, he says that, and a couple of the broadcasters happen to be Taiwanese, and immediately they cut away, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we're cutting this off," and then they suspend Dude Man for a year. They take away the 10 grand that he just won, and they just terminate the casters there as well. It's like, oh, yeah, that's not cool.
It was because the Hearthstone tournament was in Taiwan.
Okay.
And the man who won said, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our age."
Well, I mean, you could say he is calling for potentially violent revolution. I mean, that's kind of what he's saying, right?
Yeah, but let's go ahead and let's delve deeper into Blizzard's Fallen Pass. Because this wasn't as bad. I mean, yeah, that's the new stuff. But do you remember Diablo Mobile?
Oh, yes. Didn't they just reskin a random game that was out there and tossed it on mobile? And folks are like, well, we might have issues playing it. Don't you people have phones?
Yeah. Oh, or in the last BlizzCon, where you're having to pay around $2,000 to go in, and then you're forced to have an app which goes through your phone and takes all of your data so that way they could sell it to other people.
I remember hearing about that. It's like, wait a second. It's, I believe it was MC or somebody that compared it to. It's like, if I was to go to an intelligence convention, and all of a sudden someone's like, here, download this app and let it access all these permissions, everyone would look at you like you had 16 heads. And if you weren't a Hydra, that'd probably be a problem.
Oh, so, no, they forced people to do it. And then they forced you to connect your Twitch account to that to make sure that you weren't doing bad things on Twitch or being a troll.
Oh, well, as somebody that self-identifies as a member of the trolling community on the internet, that kind of bothers me. I mean, are they
Yeah.
just assuming malice in all trolls? I mean, come on,
Well,
trolls are people too, right?
they almost kicked out a person for doing the okay hand gesture.
Dude, it's getting crazy, man. I went to frickin' Dunks earlier to snag my delicious iced coffee because America runs on Dunkins. And there was a car there, and it literally has the circle game. It has like the upside down OK symbol, and they're like, "You looked," and it's like, oh, people are just getting pissed off at everything. It's like you do realize just human nature. It's like I think we've all been children at one point or another, and when you're a kid, someone says, now, don't put your hand in the cookie jar. What are you gonna come back to? A kid covered in crumbs. Did you put your hand in a cookie jar? No.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, come on. It's just to assume that folks are just simple, like, scripted robots in some ways. Yeah, that helps keep society together, but it's like, you got to admit to who we actually are, and I think there's still some folks out there that are uncomfortable with that.
Well, the other thing is you know, unions. I mean, not everyone likes unions, but because game developers have literally fucking died creating some of these games, um, there was a movement to unionize game developers.
Oh,
So Activision laid off in like entire teams, which is the people that own Blizzard.
hmm. Wait, what? Because isn't that illegal to target somebody that is considering unionizing?
Not if you do it right in corporate.
So they have justification. Oh, look
So
at okay.
allegedly,
Hmm. Well,
and
that's
the contractors were not reportedly not receiving any kind of payout.
huh. So holding of wages earned. Okay. I don't know if that's greater than $250. Is I don't know. Is that a felony? I don't know. Sounds like a
Well,
crime to
are
me.
corporations people?
Well, corporations are people that can't be jailed, have banking privilege, as well as, if they're large enough on YouTube, immune to demonetization.
Oh, they also you know the game Heroes of the Storm, right?
Yeah.
Well, they were planning on making a esports event where people put in thousands of dollars, and they canceled it and
Well,
moved a bunch of developers away from the free to play game to other projects such as World of Warcraft Classic.
so they refunded everybody.
After everybody getting pissed off at them and demanding it and you know throwing a fit.
Oh, okay. So time value of money. Oh, we're gonna earn this interest. We're gonna use this for different things. Here's a little. Here's trickle, trickle, trickle. Here you go. Okay. Um, yeah, that's kind of crummy.
Yep. So we have all of these things to Blizzard.
Hold on. Wait a second. The Diablo Immortal, the mobile game, that has that even been released? It's saying, as of the Wikipedia thingy on the side of Google's, it has yet no release date. Huh.
But people have already paid for it.
So people have given
They're
money
just
for a game
waiting
that
on
doesn't even exist yet.
it. Yep.
Okay, on February 21st, 2019, the game was pretty much ready and still planned for a 2019 release. However, he stated that Blizzard would be the ones to determine the exact release timetable. Um,
Yep.
we're getting towards the end of 2019, man. I, oh, Are they just trying to wait for everyone to forget and be like, marketing campaign, go?
Yeah, and I mean, for the most part, there's been a gap between the leadership of Blizzard and the employees are getting hit heavily on it.
This this sounds like a tale as old as time, man. It this just keeps seeming to happening within many industries, many different communities. I keep on hearing these same things. I don't know.
So with these things, I'm gonna go ahead and say, which one's the worst company for 2019?
How many of these things have happened in 2019?
Uh, just about everything that I said on Blizzard. EA has a huge history of doing shady and ridiculously stupid shit.
Well, dude, all I know is we got to take a look at the economy of Nigeria, and I have no idea. But speaking of non-tangentially related things, yeah, as far as the sum everything goes, I'd say it looks like Blizzard has most of these things within their current year of operation. Because I mean, right now it is kind of letting people kind of look at things. It's like, why are these companies responding the way they are? Well, if they're publicly traded companies and entities, if they have a fiduciary duty to maximize the return to their shareholders, it's like, would you want to turn away like millions, if not billions, of dollars in potential future revenue by just pissing the Chinese off and stuff like that? Because it's like, dude, a lot of folks over in China, dude, their society that's really a lot of honor basis on that and stuff, and they don't take insults and everything. And to be fair, I mean, Hong Kong is part of China. They did make a deal to do that whole thing. They still got like another 20 or so years, but then again, it's you weigh that against it's kind of weird in that, okay, the folks over there, they want to be their own entity. That sounds a little familiar to some of the things maybe going on in the UK. Like, folks want to be independent and stuff. And it's like, okay. But then again, if you're going to try to follow law and things that have been established and everything as well, then what's happening? I don't know. These things kind of, I see some folks supporting one side of one thing, and then it kind of seems like the other side of an issue. I realize they're not the exact same thing, but if you're talking about folks voting for autonomy and the ability to run their own nations and everything, it's, I don't know, it's weird, man.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just all of these things just lead up to these companies doing all of this and just not caring. They don't care as long as their stocks go up and their profits are decent. But the thing is we as gamers are getting sick and tired of one microtransactions. I mean, let's go back to the good old days. We don't even have to go that far back. Fucking GameCube. We'll just go as far back to GameCube. Memes. Do you remember playing a GameCube?
I believe so. I believe one of my friends
Do you
had one.
remember playing like Metroid Prime or you know what? We'll go to just name an old school gaming deal that you used to play.
Oh, Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo, perfect. Do you remember those RPG games like Final Fantasy VI
Or
and
oh,
Final
oh,
Fantasy IV
or
or
Chrono Trigger. I was just watching a stream of before I hopped on here.
Chrono Trigger, where it had like 13 different endings and it was made by a dream team of developers, including the president of fucking Nintendo, the fucking god of Dragon Ball, just all of these legends coming together simply because they wanted to create a game.
Oh, it's still one of
And
the greatest of all time.
and did it have any DLC?
Oh, no.
Did it have any microtransactions?
No.
Did it have a compelling story?
Absolutely.
Decent mechanics,
Yes.
graphics,
Yes.
music?
Totally.
And can it still stand the test of time?
Yes.
Exactly. Just like Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy IV. And there's
Dude, I hear what you're saying, and
other.
like, no, 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 and this is the thing that bothers me, and like, I get it. It's like the DLC, and basically like those microtransactions, because that seems to be what like a lot of folks are focusing on within the community. Why are they doing it? They're doing it because there was a kid that spent $10,000 of his parents' money on Smurfberries for one of those app games. It's like it is an additional revenue stream, and these companies, the way they are structured, these are new ways of getting sources of revenue. They can branch out. My argument would be I believe you'd have a better business model, especially long term and sustaining, rather than just trying to kind of maybe milk some of the more of the whales in the market and stuff and kind of almost segregating in a way based upon monetary access to other folks within the community, because like that isn't cool. You don't want to feel like crap. You want to feel like you're at least on an even playing field. My thing is I think you can maximize a lot of long-term revenue just by the sheer fact of opening things up to the community. So like with example, like if you have a particular game, take like Skyrim, take like Ark or something like that, where if you have building components where you can actually go into like a world maker, actually create maps, actually create some storyline, let communities start building stuff up, and then if you got the developers, they're reviewing some of the stuff, be like, you know what, dude, this would be pretty good. They can go in there, maybe tweak it, maybe do a couple of CGI or animated things that maybe they have more resources for, and then release
Well,
it as
that
DLC
was
and
the
profit
beauty.
share with the folks that helped made it within the community.
Yeah, that was the beauty of Halo 3.
Hmm.
Halo 3, you could the only DLC that you could get in Halo 3 was the maps.
Hmm.
You had to get the maps, and there were map packs. Now granted, you had your own little group of maps that you didn't have to get the map packs, and you could enjoy yourself by playing on the original maps. But you could buy the new map packs, and you were compelled to because you wanted to make more things on the forge area. You wanted to make your own maps, and they gave you all of the tools to do it, and just said, you know what? You can get these four maps that we've completed if you pay $20. That was reasonable because you got
Yeah.
four maps, and you still had the original game. It was just like it was like you got fries with all of your meal. You don't need fries. You got the burger. You got the drink. You don't need the fries, but you can pay a little bit extra for them.
And I like fries.
Right now, what EA is trying to do is you have to pay for the pickles, you got to pay for the cheese, you got to pay for the bun, you got to pay for you know what you get whenever you buy it? You get the box that the burger's supposed to get in.
It's like buying a car. It's like, all right, you got the car, but it doesn't have a steering wheel, doesn't have an engine. It's got half the transmission. We'll give you the driving shaft, but power windows are extra.
Actually, you've played the Pokemon game, right?
Yes.
Could you imagine having to go through that if you had to pay like $5 for every HM?
No, no, dude. It's actually worse than that. You just made me think about what happens in order to actually acquire each Pokemon. You had to buy it.
Or you have
Anybody
to
that's
buy
played
every
Pokemon would say
Pokeball.
that's bullshit because that's the whole point of the game. Oh,
No,
that's a
no, no.
meme of destruction.
You had to buy. You could get the Pokeballs in the Pokemart, but you had to buy the Great Balls, the Ultra Balls, the Master Ball.
Oh,
Like you had to buy all of those.
well, maybe extra Master Balls, but
Nope,
that's not
nope.
necessary.
They're all microtransactions. You have to.
Oh, wait, all the balls?
Other than the regular Pokeball.
Oh, isn't it impossible to catch like legendary Pokemon with normal balls?
Actually, I've caught Mewtwo with a regular Pokeball.
Oh,
Also, I on legendary.
well, I mean, it wasn't an Ultra
Granted,
Ball.
you had to get it down to 1 HP, and then you had to put it to sleep. But you can catch it.
Oh, well, I mean, it's not necessary then.
Oh
I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. But, would you want to go through that whole game with just regular Pokeballs?
No,
Exactly.
that would make it very uncomfortable. I like better balls.
So do I. So do I.
I feel like I'm going to clip this previous discussion.
Do you like the Great Balls memes?
Well, I like good balls. The Master Balls are very nice because then you get a guaranteed capture.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's great to have Master Ball.
Oh. See, Bulks, I'm going back and forth on WoW right now, man. All I know is that at one point with stuff going on, like, should I use a Scroll of Resurrection to just log in one last time, or two last times, and then just screenshot and show it's like, server first, level 80 Death Knight. Oh, fly up to the top of the map, sacrifice myself into the void, log off delete character, log in with my level 77 dwarf with the ashes of our Lar Phoenix amount, ride around and say hashtag free speech, and then drop myself into the void and delete character.
But I will say, Taiwan #1.
Oh. Oh. That was. I mean, that. It doesn't surprise me at all, just because, I mean, there's a lot of competition over there and everything, and they're going through. It's like, so-and-so's #1. Oh, no. It's like, oh, no, they're #3. We're #2. It's.
China #4. #1.
That was. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, hey, good for them. I mean, they're patriots. They love the countries. Power to them. Got nothing wrong with that. It's like, how is that different than stuff we would say?
Yeah.
But so what have we end up deciding, Vash? We've been going. I know you got to get to the card shop. So any
I'm gonna. Well, I mean, it's whenever because they don't close until like 11. But I like playing League of Legends.
oh yeah.
And I just gotta say, like, it's just been a rant. Like, how, for one, how do we fix this? Okay, we got companies that are money hungry, and they don't care about their fans. That's mistake #1. Is those fans are the things that made you to what you are today.
Right.
Just like a YouTuber with their followers.
So as far as this goes, and this is actually very interesting because this is almost a continuation of the discussion I was having with a Mr. Owen McDonald. He happens to be over in the UK, and he happens to be an individual that identifies as, I believe, a intersectional feminist, Marxist, socialist, and everything. And one of the things I just pointed out to, it's like, when you're a publicly traded company, you have that fiduciary duty, that duty of care to maximize that return on investment by doing what they believe is going to maximize their revenue. You've had individuals such as Bill Gates come out more recently and say we need to rethink these things. I just haven't heard anyone really address that particular thing, because if you are sworn to do this, i.e., if you do not do this, you can be fired immediately. You can argue with the ethics. Absolutely. That is a different discussion, which I don't think we're actually separating out from the capitalistic maximizing of return on investment component there. So, I mean, we could actually have a discussion about this, and I think this actually would address some things where it comes down to making sure employees within any particular industry are treated like people and everything while still maintaining that competitive edge as well. How do you do something like that to foster it? I mean, in like a lot of Silicon Valley company cases, like a Google or something like that, they're going to typically pay you quite an extremely competitive salary. Often they'll provide food and other things and other amenities to try to make you comfortable enough that you're going to maximize for the game. Of course, you want to find that balance as well, because if somebody's just not doing their job at all, then it's like, okay, now are you net contributing to the goals of that company? That's the big thing. And how do you actually quantify that? I think we have better ways to do that, as well as, I mean, some folks, the big environments thing. And like, if you could do something to help clean up like pollution, get some plastic out of the ocean, and I don't know, maybe stop dumping as much potential carbon and methane into the atmosphere. I mean, I think that's a good thing. And that's one of the things. That's why companies do things like that, to add public image. So even if you're like, well, I could choose between them and them, but I know folks from this particular company, they picked up the park locally before. So you might be more inclined to do that just because goodwill is a thing. It's just, how do you quantify that? I don't know how, but I think
Well,
we can figure something out.
well, for games, I would probably say one, we need to take out the pre-order. We need to stop buying games before they're actually fully developed. Um, Two, we need to make sure to have it to where we can, like, DLC is not you get the rest of the game, but rather you get the additions to the game. Like, the game's complete, but whenever you beat that game, well, what do you get? Okay, a good example for a cross comparison would be Oblivion versus Skyrim on its DLC. What do you get for Skyrim's DLC? Well, you get horse armor. That's it.
Yeah.
There you go. You can have that. Well, what about Oblivion's DLC? Oh, you get a mystical world that goes into another dimension, and then you gotta make sure to save that dimension called the Shivering Isles. It's an entirely new continent.
So that brings me back to our original discussion of back in the day games in Dragon Warrior 3, where it's like, all right, you beat this dude. Oh, by the way, you gotta go into this whole other world, and it was just part of the game, man. Like when you would play like, or even Zelda Link to the Past, it's like, all right, now the real game begins. I miss that stuff. That was fun, dude. But
Yeah, I mean, like one of the games that really pissed me off whenever I was playing, it had a Japanese name, but it gave you a shitty to be continued because the game wasn't fixed or wasn't completed, and then you had to buy the DLC to get the ending. And I believe Cthulhu in the chat would know which game I'm talking about. But you had to, I think it was like Asura's Wrath or something like that. But it was, you played as like like this one dude that was just angry, like, God of War angry. And in order to get the final level, you had to buy the DLC.
I'm not a fan of barriers to entry. You could say that purchasing a game is a barrier to entry because there's a cost associated. However, once you get in the door, there shouldn't be a barrier as far as money goes to complete the game in its current instance. So, like, I mean, I would tend to agree with one of the points we talked about before is just getting the community involved, man. Because if folks actually feel like they're part of something, that's going to help loyalty and stuff out. And if you can actually almost outsource some of the content development, especially if you get like a good core game, if you invest in a core game, even if you don't necessarily post like the highest level profit, if you give people literally the means of production, if you would, now you have control over it. And this is the thing that kind of bothers me to no end. It's like I hear a lot of folks talking about like democratic socialism and stuff like that because they see it as a good thing. Hey, power to them. My argument would be rather than democratic socialism, go with democratic capitalism. Basically, almost go right in order to go left. What the heck do I mean by that? All I'm saying is, example, here in Massachusetts, we have universal health care. How do we do that? We made a lot of cuts. There were definitely tough cuts. There were folks that were hurting after that. But it did also give us $1 billion surplus that allowed Governor Romney to help pay for Romney Care. I've used it. Was it the most efficient thing when it first rolled out? No, but it got better. It's something that I use for at times when I needed it. So all I'm saying is, I'd say we're engaging in democratic capitalism right now. Patreon, what do you have? People within the community helping out other folks within the community. I think this is a model that we can actually leverage, and you can actually have folks start to like work out there, create new cool content as well, and you're breeding goodwill along with hopefully more folks kind of getting their hands in there and almost competing with each other to create the best content possible. So you can utilize principles of the free market and just kind of trend it in a more positive direction.
Well, that's one of the things that I've been doing lately, and how to do that is we don't buy these main brand shit. Don't buy the next fucking Call of Duty. Don't buy all of this shit that they're just overly processed, just cranking out because that's how these idiots are. These idiots are going to buy it anyway. Stop buying that, and instead go to the indie developers. Go to the indie people, the people that are, they're building their games from the ground up. Like, buy a game like Bloodstained. Support the developers that, the companies were like, fuck off. By the way, story about Bloodstained. What happened was the person wanted to make another Castlevania Symphony of the Night game, and, Konami was just like, no, fuck you. I'm not going to let you do it. Well, what are we going to do? Well, you're not allowed to play that. All right, well, I'll make a game called Bloodstained.
Yeah, no, well, that's the thing, dude. It's like, if a lot of people actually are quite reasonable, more than people would expect, especially if you treat them like a human being. But my big thing is, yeah, you could treat people well, and if you really need it, enforcement stuff, like at least over here in the States, you have the ability to contract and stuff, and just don't make it necessarily a bajillion pages long, man. Just hit the main points and stuff like that, and just try to make things clear, because I do think we really can do better with things. So, Vash, any final thoughts on our discussion?
Both companies suck. Burn them to the ground.
All right. My final thoughts on the EA versus Blizzard thing. It's like, guys, we love you. Like, you've brought us a lot of good times in the past and everything. Just as far as everything else goes, it's just like, work with folks in the community and stuff. Like, leverage people that have talent and stuff, because there are people that really love these games and stuff. And if you're just, I understand you're trying to maximize your revenue, but rather than going out there and trying to do the whole nickel and dime thing, look at it long term. Take a look at certain channels, maybe on like a YouTube or other things that maybe have grown more over time. You got to listen to folks, and it's like, yeah, folks will always complain because it's the internet, and if you believe in free speech, yeah, you're gonna have the right to complain. But just because there are so many folks complaining doesn't mean they don't actually have points. So that's just my big thing on that. And as well as if anybody is watching right now would like to, please check out my good friend, Director Arcater. He is currently live on his channel. Link down there in the chat below. So, hey Vash, thank you so much for joining us, and I think we're gonna roll out now. So, hey, thank you everyone for joining us, and peace out, everybody.